The year is 2008 in Detroit, Michigan. The city is struggling in more ways than one. Detroit is one of the hardest hit cities due to the recession. The auto industry is in decline, the city lost over $600 million in property taxes, and tons of people are being laid off from their jobs. In the past, when the people of Detroit have faced rough times, many of them have looked to sports to give them hope. So who did they have to look to now? The 2007 Tigers had taken a big step back, winning 88 games and missing the playoffs compared to what they did in 2006. And in 2008, they would decline even more. The Lions started 2007 going 6-2, but then would go on to lose 7 of their last 8 games, missing the playoffs. And I don't think I need to remind y'all what happened in 2008 with the Detroit Lions. The 07-08 Pistons did have a great regular season, almost winning 60 games. They would even make it all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, but would lose to the Celtics. And the Pistons haven't won a playoff series since that 07-08 run. The one team that would give Detroit hope that there were better times ahead would be the Detroit Red Wings. It had been 6 years since the team put together that legendary 2002 team. There was no more Scotty Bowman, no more Steve Yzerman, no more Sergei Fedorov, or Brendan Shanahan. But this team was still pretty good. However, they did have some pretty old guys. Chris Chelios was 46, Dominik Hasek was 43, Dallas Drake, Nick Lidstrom, Chris Draper, Thomas Holmstrom, Kirk Maltby, and Chris Osgood were all pushing 40. Osgood had actually left Detroit for a few years and then ended up making his way back. But they also had Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg on this team. The past few years, though, had ended in disappointment. The Red Wings would play really well in the regular season, but then burn out in the playoffs. This year looked no different. The Wings started hot, looking like the best team in hockey, losing just 2 games in regulation during their first 16 games. Then, once February came, the age of the Red Wings started to show. Injuries hit them really hard. Kronwall, Lidstrom, Holmstrom, Draper, and Chelios had all been hurt at some point. Luckily, Johan Franzen had started to emerge as a goal-scoring machine and helped the Red Wings stay afloat. Another thing that helped re-energize the Wings was the return of a cult hero in Detroit, Darren McCarty. After struggling in Calgary and going through substance abuse problems, McCarty was semi-retired from hockey. Then he was convinced to come back by Chris Draper. So McCarty would earn his way back into pro hockey via a tryout with the Grand Rapids Griffin, where he would play well enough to sign with the Detroit Red Wings and be called up on February 25th. At this point, you really couldn't write a better script. A team filled with stars from the Red Wings' past glory days in the late 90s and early 2000s, making one last run at a cup. Detroit would win the President's Trophy, but that wasn't the goal for this year. The people of Detroit needed them to go all the way. Despite the struggles of the city, fans still made sure to show out and pack Joe Louis Arena all season. The Wings knew it was time for them to not let us down. Their first round matchup would be against Nashville, a team that they had some pretty good battles against during the regular season. And Nashville played some really good hockey, even outplaying Detroit at some points in the series. But the hero of that series would be found in Chris Osgood. He would earn the starting job in net this series, and the Wings would win in 6 despite some hiccups. Then Detroit would face an old rival, the Colorado Avalanche. This series was one of the last installments in that great rivalry, with only a few players left on each team from the start of that rivalry. This series was less turbulent than the one against Nashville, and Johan Franzen played outside of his mind, scoring 9 goals in 4 games, helping Detroit sweep the Avalanche. Now, on to the Western Conference Finals, where the Wings would face the Dallas Stars. It looked at first like it was another easy sweep, but then the Stars won games 4 and 5. Once again, the Wings were looking like they would choke in the playoffs, possibly blowing a 3-0 series lead, and with the luck of Detroit teams, that was entirely possible. Game 6 would be a battle, with possibly one of the most Chris Draper moments of all time.
So I saw Dallas Drake, taking the puck wide. I'm like, I'm getting in the net, I'm staying at the net. All of a sudden, the puck kind of just grazed off Turco, right off my bottom 3 teeth. And it was funny because I saw the puck, and I'm trying to whack at it, and I'm thinking to myself, my teeth aren't where they're supposed to be. This hurts. And then I saw it cross the line, and obviously put my hands up. And then I got cross-checked, so I stand up, and I knew the puck was in. And Dally just kind of looked at me. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." Skated to the bench. Sure enough, I had 3 teeth that were banged up pretty good. But at that time of year, who cares?
And Detroit would win 4-1, advancing to the Stanley Cup Final with a star-studded matchup between Detroit and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This was a matchup for the ages. The players don't like each other, the fans really don't like each other. This is hockey at its best. Games 1 and 2 were blowouts for Detroit, winning 4-0 and 3-0. Game 3 was an entirely different story though. That game was what people expected out of this series. Hard hits, tough play, but also clean and decently high scoring. Pittsburgh would win 3-2. Game 4 was crucial to Detroit. If they win that game, it is a 3-1 series lead. But with that game being in Pittsburgh, it would not be an easy matchup. It was an all-out scrap. But that's what Detroit wanted, and they played right into that, winning 2-1 and giving them the much-coveted 3-1 series lead. So, back to Detroit, with a chance to lift Lord Stanley again in Hockeytown. Game 5 looked almost like it would be a blowout for Pittsburgh though, with them taking an early 2-goal lead. But the Wings would make a run, tying the game and taking it to triple overtime. They were even preparing the cup for Detroit to host in the locker room, but then Pittsburgh would score and hold out long enough to win. So now the Red Wings would need to win Game 6 in Pittsburgh. It was a back and forth game. The Wings scored first, and then scored again in the second period, but then Pittsburgh got one. And then in the third, who else but Henrik Zetterberg to give Detroit a 2-goal lead. And then Marian Hossa got one with less than 2 minutes left in the game, making things uncomfortable for the Wings, with the looming chance of them letting this one slip away in heartbreaking fashion. And, again, knowing the Red Wings and their luck in the playoffs, we had seen this story before. It was entirely possible that happened. Then, with time winding down, Pittsburgh would make one last push, but time ran out for the Penguins. Then, the celebration ensued for a team and a city that deserved it. Sure, they had won it all several times before, but not like this. Not under these circumstances. The re-emergence of Chris Osgood and Darren McCarty. Dallas Drake finally winning a cup. And of course, the parade back in Detroit. A time where everyone, no matter what situation you were in, where you came from, or who you were, could celebrate the Wings getting it done. Detroit might not have much, but we do have this. We have a culture not just in hockey, but in sports, and as a community, that I can guarantee you your city does not have. It's why I personally love Detroit. You can knock the people of the city down time and time again, but every single time, they get back up on their feet and keep going. The sports teams are an extension of that. We don't have a lot of happy endings around here, but this is one of them. So, I will leave you with this, a phrase that I'm sure many of you have heard. Tough times don't last, tough people do. And that's perfect to describe the people and the athletes that call Detroit home.
I mean, I just can't say enough about how fortunate I've been to be with this organization, to play with the great players that I played with, and it's unreal. What a great feeling, and to have my family here. Little Cameron Rose couldn't make it. She's 2 weeks old, but I got Kennedy and Keenan, like you said, and my wife's here and my dad. And it's an unbelievable feeling.
Keenan, what do you think?
it's unbelievable. A year ago today, I didn't know where I'd be. The Red Wings gave me a chance to come play. I couldn't be more honored and thankful for the chance they gave me, and thank you very much.
It's a real proud day to be from Michigan. The reason we play is because of you guys, the fans. When we turn the corner and see the excitement on your faces and the spirit of Detroit, you can feel in the air today. And this is what it's all about. It kind of motivates us for next year. I know I was saying that early, but man, we love playing for you, and we always will right to the end.
When the sun goes down, it's Detroit, the world renowned, the murder Motown. Home of real music, no bull accepted. The place of shootings and rapists.
We're a little nervous about coming up here, but who would want to miss this and share this with all you fans in the city of Detroit? Can't thank you enough. I'm so happy for you guys and our team. Doesn't get any better than this, so thanks again, Detroit. All the best. Hey, how's this, huh?
I'ma love my city till my casket drops. It's Detroit.
Hello, Detroit.
RP to J Dilla, Proof, Disco D.
I just want to say thank you everyone out there from Flint, from Grand Rapids, all the way back home to Detroit.
I ain't never seen him. Trick, D12, verse of 5'9". K-Dub, Fly Guy, Caddy Carroll one time. My cuz Lil D, Alley Cat to Buck Wild. Phantom 1, my homeboy Hostile. NASDAQ Volcano to my nigga Big Pat. DJ G, Nice CDG, where y'all at? Can't realize the concepts and Miss Benny Marie. Enter the whole world if you love the D. My mom, dad,
Hi, I'm Pavel Datsuk. I'm from Yekaterinburg, from Russia, and I have a